We're past the halfway point of the NFL season. The trade deadline's over. It's time to start doing playoff picture videos. At least that's what I think. If you want this as a weekly video, sometimes multiple times per week, depending on how the schedule plays out, then type me in the comment section right now. Let's start with the NFC Playoff Picture. We'll do a brief overview, then go more in depth here, I promise you. Lions, 8-1, the number 1 seed as of right now. The Eagles, 7-2. The Falcons, 6-4. The sneaky Cardinals at 6-4 as well. Then your wild card leaders, Minnesota, Commanders, Packers, 7-2, 7-3, 6-3, because the byes are not evened out quite yet. Then there's one other above 500 team in the NFC. That is the 49ers at 5-4, and a couple of 4-win teams still alive. Well, they're all alive technically, but not all of them are realistically alive. In the AFC, the Chiefs and their voodoo magic are undefeated, 9-0. The Bills at 8-2, a great matchup coming up this week between those two teams, by the way. Steelers, 7-2. Texans, 6-4. Ravens, 7-3. They're a half game back of Pittsburgh, and oh, by the way, they also played this week. Chargers at 6-3, the Broncos at 500, the Colts and Bengals, and even the Dolphins and Jets and Patriots, they're only 2 games back or a game back. They are alive in a bit of a top-heavy AFC this year. Now, on future videos, we will always break down the clinching scenarios, except for ties on American. I don't do scenarios that include ties. That could change very soon. There are no clinching scenarios yet, but the Chiefs' magic number is down to 3, so it's getting into that ballpark where 2 weeks we're probably going to have some clinching scenarios for teams, which makes things entertaining. Before we go more in depth on each of these teams, the AFC and the NFC playoff picture here, will your team make the NFL playoffs this year? Full disclosure, I am a Cowboys fan. We will not be spending any real time on the Dallas Cowboys in these videos, besides to say they're out of the race from a realistic standpoint. But will your team make the playoffs? Stone, you're a Bengals fan. They got a chance. They got a chance still. Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. Y for yes, N for no. Let's begin with the AFC more in depth here, because they got the last undefeated team in football, even though the Chiefs are literally like 7 plays away from being 2-7. Legitimately, they are. Doesn't matter. They keep winning games because they're the Chiefs. Makes sense. Blocked field goal win over the Denver Broncos. They have the Bills this upcoming week. You will also see the playoff probability listed for each team. That is according to the NFL's next-gen stats, so it factors in future schedule, likely odds, etc. It would take a historic collapse for the Chiefs as the number 1 seed or the Bills as the number 2 seed to not get into the postseason. Buffalo sitting there at 8-2. They have the Chiefs this week in a massive game in terms of can they steal the number 1 seed. If the Chiefs win that game, it's a 3-game lead plus a tiebreaker, and the Chiefs are going to end up getting home field advantage. Bills win that one, hand KC their first loss of the year. All of a sudden, it's a 1-game lead, and they have the tiebreaker. So that is a massive game for Buffalo and the Chiefs in terms of the playoff picture and the seedings and whatnot. The Steelers, the current number 3 seed, coming off a thrilling win over the Commanders. Big game against the Baltimore Ravens this week. You've got 2 awesome football games. The winner of that game basically takes control of the AFC North. A lot of AFC North games left, by the way, for Pittsburgh. Their schedule actually gets tough. The Browns are not a good football team. The Bengals are going to be fighting for playoff spots. Plus Eagles, Ravens, KC. There is a scenario that exists in which the Chiefs play 2 non-playoff teams the rest of the season. And best case, it's half of them, which makes it entertaining, at least for Pittsburgh. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You simply pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is available in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. It is the best place to get that real money sports action. It also is the only daily fantasy platform with injury insurance policies. So your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets hurt. Player goes down in the first half, does not return. Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. It's as little as 2 correct picks. So I'm riding with my boy Harrison Graham's picks here. Jaden Daniels less than passing yards in what could be I think could be a good Thursday night game we'll talk more about here in a little bit. And A.J. Brown love the more than receiving yards because the Commanders' defense, we'll see if Marshall Lattimore plays, but it's shaky overall right now. Download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. The Houston Texans, the 4 seed right now in the AFC, they've got some issues on offense. I have actually been pretty whelmed by the job Bobby Slowick has done. Chief has not been as good this season. They get a get-right game, though, against the Cowboys in Week 11 in what is going to be a home game for Houston. There will be more Texans fans in Jerry World than there will be Cowboys fans. And then the schedule is not that daunting. You got 2 games against the bad Titans team, the Jags, out to the playoff picture Dolphins team. So Houston is the clear favorite in the AFC South. That's why the playoff probability is actually higher than Pittsburgh because the schedule and the remaining games bode very well for Houston. The Ravens, despite being the 5 seed, actually have a 98% playoff probability. Massive game this week against the Steelers in an AFC North dogfight. Chargers, Eagles, their bye. Giants, Steelers, Texans, Browns. Not the easiest slate of games, but they've gotten hot. And the next-gen stats model does factor in, like, how good everyone thinks the team is, like, from statistical outputs. Even I think they include Vegas to an extent. So not a surprise that one's so high. Let's get to the wild card. Chargers. They're coming off a big-time win over the Titans. They got the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. That game got flexed into primetime. 81% playoff probability there. A couple tricky games, though, down the stretch. Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Bucks, Broncos. Then it gets easier at the end of the season. 9 wins in the AFC might be enough. And the Chargers should be favored in 3 to 4 of the games down the stretch. How about the Denver Broncos? Man, that win against the Chiefs would have been massive for their playoff hopes. They came up just short on a blocked field goal of all things. Denver only at 52% playoff probability. They are 500, so that kind of tracks in a not as good AFC this season. Falcons going to be a tough one in Week 11. The Raiders, Browns, back-to-back games, plus Indy and the Chargers off the bye. Denver's got a real chance to make some noise and make the postseason in Bo Nix's first year. Of the 2 non-Chiefs AFC West teams, who do you believe in more? Type in C for the Chargers or B for the Broncos. The teams on the outside looking in of the AFC playoff picture, these are the next-gen stats playoff probability here. Colts 21%, Bengals 28% because a bit more optimism in general about that Bengals team despite losing the tiebreaker right now. They've got a couple bad, painful losses there. I'm a little surprised the Jets are at 13%. I feel like that's a little bit overrated, but the AFC's bad, so they've got possibilities there. Browns, Titans, Raiders, Jags. It's NFL draft season, baby. Sorry. Which we'll have draft coverage for you guys right here on the channel. We'll do mock drafts. We'll break down Dane Brugler's big board on Tuesday's live show. So don't miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv for more free NFL YouTube videos. All right, NFC time. Sorry if you're an NFC fan, had to wait a little bit, but we'll rotate it throughout the year, so it's not always AFC to start. Let's begin with the best team in the NFC. It is the Detroit Lions, also an elite playoff probability here, greater than 99%. You can do like various similar stuff, and if you give the Lions a loss every game, they still have like an outside shot of making it, which they're not going to lose every game, so it's fine. Jags, Colts, Bears, 3 games in a row that they could very well win. Then a couple tricky ones down the stretch. Packers, the Bills, the Niners, the Vikings. This is the year for the Lions to make history. This is the bet. This is the widest their window has ever been open. I mean, Jared Goff throws 5 picks and they win. It's just one of those seasons in a good way for the Lions. The Eagles, coming off a dominant win over the Dallas Cowboys, now face a massive NFC East matchup. Winner of the Eagles-Commanders game here does take control of the NFC East. And then it gets a little bit inconsistent in terms of level of competition the Eagles play. Rams, they can win. The Ravens going to be a tough one. Panthers. Then they've also got games against the Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants to wrap up the NFL season. The NFC's curse of the division winner never winning again is going to hit again this year. It's not going to be the Dallas Cowboys. It will be the Commanders or Philly. We'll find out. The Falcons, I blame the Pope for the Saints win because he was tweeting about the Saints on accident all week. Falcons come up short. They drop to 6-4. Key game against Denver for both teams' playoff odds there. What does work very much in favor, though, of the Falcons' schedule and their odds of being able to win the division, they have already swept the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Saints' loss is a negative for them. They still have a game against the Panthers to go. But any tiebreaker between Tampa and Atlanta is going to go in favor of Atlanta. That's why the playoff probability is higher at 81%. Next-gen stats, still not buying the Arizona Cardinals, only 59%, despite being 6-4 and one of the sneakiest teams in football this year. The schedule is very doable. They're on bye this week, but they've got 2 games against Seattle, which is massive for NFC wildcard race stuff. They've got the Patriots, a game they should win, the Panthers, a game that they should win, the Chargers, the Niners, the Vikings. Even if you lose those 3 games, this team can get to 10 wins. They can get to 9 wins, and 9 wins might be enough to get that 7 seed in the NFC playoff picture as well. Who do you think ends up winning the NFC West? ARI for the Cardinals, SF, who we'll talk about here in a second, for the 49ers, SEA for Seattle, and LAR for the Los Angeles Rams. Let me know in the comments of today's show. The Vikings, who are the top wildcard threat right now, they got a 92% win probability. It's just they're stuck behind the Detroit Lions. Couple games against the Bears, that Cardinals game, Falcons, Seattle, the Titans this week. Expect Tennessee to do what they do every week and start well and then fade, and the Vikings come back and end up winning that matchup. Vikings in a fantastic spot to make the season as long as Sam Darnold stops doing bad Sam Darnold plays like he did against the Jags. The Commanders, they have not been very good against winning teams, and if the Bears continue to fall apart, that doesn't look any better in that direction. Or even fringe competent teams, I should say. Tough loss against Pittsburgh, massive game against Philadelphia. Then they get the Cowboys, the Titans, the Saints, and the Cowboys again. That should be at minimum 4 wins. The Commanders' schedule is so easy that this team, even if they can't win the division, if they can't beat Philadelphia, they should win 10 games this year. Got the Titans, the Saints, and the Cowboys twice, 4 terrible teams. That's a double-digit win team because the Commanders have done their job and taken advantage of the schedule, got the Bengals early in the year when they're terrible, and have taken care of business and won a bunch of games. The Packers, coming off their bye, get the Chicago Bears, Then a couple tricky games. The Niners, Dolphins playing better, Lions, maybe Seattle ends up being competent, the Vikings. Jordan Love's been banged up a lot this year. I do think Green Bay is going to sneak their way into the postseason as one of those playoff teams. The in general lack of depth that exists this year outside the top 5 to 6 teams, give or take, in really both divisions right now, both conferences, really stands out. The Niners actually have a 57% chance at the postseason. There's some wild card possibilities, and they can take care of business and go make a run at the NFC West. People not buying the Bears, can't say I blame them, 2% there. That's, again, the next-gen stats odds. Seattle, the Rams at 4-5. NFC West is going to kind of sort itself out. Tampa has an outside shot at the division, but I think that might be pushing it a little bit too much. Cowboys, Saints, Panthers, Giants. You guys know you're bad. It's draft season.